Is Texas ready for Alabama? Well, they took care of business yesterday against Rice. Final score, Texas 37, Rice 10. It took a second to kind of settle in. The second half, they really found their mojo. A lot to take away from this game. We'll unpack it a little bit, then talk about what it means going forward for Texas. Really quickly, though, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. The Hard Count goes live 3 times a week. We got content every single day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern. This coming Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, right here live, we are going to make our pick for the Texas-Bama game. So make sure you come back. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Pickell. But let's get right to it, man. Like I said, Texas took care of business against the team they're supposed to take care of business against. Now, really quickly, though, I want to make sure we get on the same page here. When I say take care of business, it wasn't perfect. And Steve Sarkisian acknowledged that. It wasn't like it was just a flawless game. Hey, no errors. Great job, Texas. There was some things in the first half, offensively at least, that you kind of say, ooh, hey, we gotta get that calibrated before we go to Tuscaloosa next week. So it took a second to find their rhythm, but I don't have a tremendous issue with that, to be honest with you, because it's game one. You're probably not opening the playbook up completely to give Quinn Ewers all that he needs. As a whole, man, from a stat sheet perspective, when all the dust settled, still threw for 260 yards, still threw 3 touchdowns, no picks, and was right around 63 completion percentage, 63% completion percentage, rather. And in the first game, too, we all understand this. You come out of the box a little bit excited, a little bit overly juiced, maybe start to press. But once they settled in, they found their rhythm, and he looked really, really good. Also, the defense, I thought, looked phenomenal, especially against, a team that has a quarterback that's talented, and JT Daniels. They looked how they're supposed to look, right? Forced 3 turnovers, held it down early. You're encouraged by that. They kept him to under 200 yards total offense. So all in all, like, you check that box defensively, and you're encouraged to see them play complementary football early on. Hey, offense going to take a second to kind of rev the engine. That's fine. Defense will hold it down. So you can't do that against Alabama if you're Texas. But I don't think it's inexcusable in game one to take a second to find your footing and then to eventually find it. And find it, also, this is big, they found it in the second half. Scored 21 points to Texas in the third quarter. That's big now. How much have we talked about Texas not coming out in the second half? It would have been very easy against a team like Rice to kind of mail it in. I know what the first half looked like, but to come out in the second half and to play the way they did, I think you have to be, at the very least, just a little bit encouraged. We're not trying to over-project from game one, but you do have to take it at face value. And at face value, they answered, adjusted, and looked good in the second half. For Quinn Ewers, man, and this was, I think, according to the Twitter sphere, I was kind of in the minority here when I was tweeting out clips of what he did in that second half. Once he got settled in, once the game kind of slowed down a little bit and there was no more like overly amped up feel to it from an offensive standpoint, I thought he was dialed in. I thought he looked like the second-year quarterback you would hope he would look like in this point. He was in control. He looked extremely smooth. And for this offense, it all goes through Quinn Ewers. Yes, you got to run the football. That's first and foremost. But I mean, offensively, from a decision-making standpoint and from a distribution standpoint, you have to be on your P's and Q's as Quinn Ewers. So for him to look like the second-year quarterback you would hope for him to look like, I think that's enormously positive. Because when Quinn Ewers is on, then guess what happens? You get to maximize your weapons. Then JT Sanders gets to eat. Then Adonai Mitchell gets to eat, who got in the end zone for his first time yesterday as a Longhorn. That's good news. Xavier Worthy gets to do what he did yesterday, have 90 yards receiving on 7 catches. Like, it all kind of opens up. And we've said that many times about Quinn Ewers, but to see it come to fruition, even against Rice, I know it's against Rice, I understand that, but to see it look the way it did in that second half, that would give me a lot of confidence if I'm a Texas fan heading into the game against Tuscaloosa. A lot of talk was made about Quinn Ewers and his physical stature, and he slimmed down. Like, he looked very composed. He looked very athletic. He looked just smooth to me. He was in control of the game. He set the pace. He was the point guard pushing the fast break. Even if he's not going 100 miles an hour, he's still dictating the tempo, which I think is what you want to see from him at this point in time. Again, I know it's Rice. We all understand that. But you still have to take this sample size and draw something from it, whether you believe they're going to go in and just storm the castle in Tuscaloosa or not. You still have to look at this game and make some sort of, takeaways, if you will. And I think there's a lot of good ones if you're a Texas fan. So like the thumbnail suggests in this video, I want to talk about that. Is Texas ready for Alabama? They go to Tuscaloosa. Again, we'll make that pick live here Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you're here for it. And are they ready for Alabama? We're going to find out. But at the very least, from that game yesterday, that Texas team has earned the right to walk into Tuscaloosa and be confident. And sometimes when you walk into games against big brands in college football, and Texas is their own big brand in their own right, I understand that. But when you go and play the greatest of all time in Nick Saban and you go to Tuscaloosa, there is a tendency sometimes internally as an operation, as a team, to start to maybe talk yourself into, hey, we can do this. Texas doesn't need to talk themselves into anything. They have a lot of proof from that game yesterday and from what they did last year against that Texas, against that team in Alabama, where they have the juice to go in there and make it a very real game. They've earned every right to be confident walking into Tuscaloosa, Alabama, because they've built to this over the time that Steve Sarkisian's been there. They have a quarterback that is built to this, who has put in the effort and who has put in the required deposits to play well against them. They have the weapons to match up. Like, it's not a thing where you got to talk yourself into, oh, we got a chance. No. You got the matchups. You got dudes. You got the guys to go and compete with Alabama. You got to go to their house, raucous environment, eyes of the country upon you. It could be a signature kind of win if you're Steve Sarkisian. Absolutely. High stakes. You should feel anxiety. You should feel the butterflies. You should feel those jitters pregame. But one thing you shouldn't feel is inadequate. One thing you shouldn't feel is outmatched. Are you going to have every matchup in the game? Probably not. Alabama's recruited extremely well over the entire time Nick Saban's been there. You're not going to have every matchup. But you know what? You have enough to go in there, swing your sword, to quote Mike Leach, rest in peace, and to go in there and fire. Fire off. You don't need to tiptoe into the lion's den here. You go in there, you scream, and you bring your spear, you bring your sword, you bring all the weapons you have, and you go after them. It's not a thing where Texas needs to be bashful now. They've earned the right to be confident walking into Tuscaloosa. We're going to pick this game again, but again, we're going to pick it on Tuesday. But even so, man, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. The attitude for Texas walking into Tuscaloosa isn't one of hoping, isn't one of maybe we can. It's no, they're going to have to deal with us for 4 quarters. We're going to throw the ball around. We have an experienced offensive line. We've got a deep backfield. We have a very deep wide receiver room. We got a defense that's gelling, and we got a quarterback who can get it done for us. And a lot of people feel in Austin, Texas, had he been healthy last year's game, maybe they get it done in Austin, and we're talking about this game differently. But even so, man, Texas handling business against Rice. It's Rice, but it's good to take care of business against teams you're supposed to take care of business against. Can't have a calibration period next week in Tuscaloosa, but I can't wait for it. We'll talk more about that game on Tuesday. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss when we pick that game live. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.